Good afternoon, Crossman Nation. I am Dan Potter, and we are live at Butler Community College. This is the BG Products Veterans Sports Complex Stadium. It's the home during a normal drum corps season of the Drums Across Kansas DCI show. But this year, this very unusual drum corps year, Butler Community College and this stadium's been home of Crossmen's spring training in July, spring and July here in El Dorado, Kansas, and we're here to raise money for Bones. I'm Dan Potter, along with a full team from Crossmen, the support team, the volunteers, the instructional staff, and of course the performers themselves. They are all here at a fantastic facility at Butler Community College. We've actually had a couple of hours before we went on the air to tour the facilities here and see what a great training facility this is. The performers, in fact, are staying in apartments right across the street from the stadium. We'll talk to them about the accommodations and the experience that they've had here in this unusual spring training setup and year coming up throughout this afternoon. We plan to be on the air for about 2.5 hours, and we have a lot of great content to share with you, especially if you're a fan of Crossmen. If you're new to Crossmen, stick around because we got a whole lot of history to share with you, and you can appreciate the Corps even more. Among the things we're going to do today, we have a historical look at each section of the Corps, lots of interviews, lots of clips to show you. This would normally be history night if this were normal spring training. And so a lot of what you're going to get to see and experience during this broadcast or this webcast is actual Crossman history and some of the things that they would be experiencing, the members themselves, on history night. We have live interviews, including an interview coming up with the brand new Crossman Corps Director, Mike Arena. We have members of the leadership team. We're going to talk with Conrad Eisenhower, the visual caption head of Bones, and find out all about this year's production, It's Your Move. Yeah, I get that it's based on chess. How much of Queen's Gambit is in there? What's the music like? We're going to dig down into the details of It's Your Move. We do have a performance by the Corps later. Now, you can't see outside right now. Maybe here in a little bit we can show you outside, but it has been raining here in El Dorado, Kansas. We just had a downpour that was, I don't know, we probably got a ½ inch of rain in about 20 minutes. The field drains very, very well, but we currently don't have the Corps on the field. We hope the weather will hold and we'll be able to have the Corps on the field rehearsing while this is all going on. And then at the end of our broadcast and our time here together, sometime after 5 o'clock, our plan is to show you everything that they have done so far in their 2021 production of It's Your Move. We'll show you that, and there's dessert. There is a brand new arrangement of Russian Christmas music, and the Corps is going to debut that for you here. Now, I also want to say, if weather spoils all of those plans, it's okay. We got a bunch of things on film. We had the Corps do a run-through last night, a standstill run-through with all the music. You'll be able to see that, and you'll also be able to see Russian Christmas music, the new arrangement, see and hear that as well, no matter what the weather does. So stick around. Weather's not going to ruin anything, and it's certainly not going to destroy our chance to support the Corps. Bones is back. We got to back the Bones. Here's how you do it. Really, really simple. Just text BONES, B-O-N-E-S, text BONES to 41444. It's on the screen. We have a $60,000 goal, which I think is easily attainable. We blew that out of the water last year during Crossman Live, and this year I think 60,000 we can soar right past. In fact, we're over 14,000 right now. Thank you to Beverly Thornburg, Michelle Ehrlich. Thank you to Sue Hayes, Tina Cantu, Jim Parker. All of them have donated already, so we're well on our way. Over $14,000 that we've knocked out on our $60,000 goal. So let's get started with the content, and let's talk about one of the best Bones stories there is. This is legendary. We're going to start with the percussion section from the very beginning with the team that started it all, Bill Kaufman and Eric Landis. Let's talk about the Thurston Lick.
Yeah, yeah. It's, I think the big thing that was really cool with the Crossmen is we were um, driven to create an identity. It's like, Crossing Drumline, they don't have any identity. Come on. But I mean, it was really something obviously that was important, and I think members, they take great pride in having an identity that they can latch onto and associate with. And
Was it always a given that the two of you were going to do this together? When the merger occurred, that was part of the decision, was that you guys were going to do this jointly?
As far as I know, unless the administration was having any problems with it, I don't think Bill and I had any problems with working together.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I think the first time we got together was on a parking lot down in Boeing parking lot. Yes. First time we got together, and as a matter of fact, they had the Crossmen had a parade the next week or something like that, and it was a Tom Jones tune, "Daughter of Darkness." Does that ring a bell, Eric?
Yeah.
I thought so. Anyway, that was the first thing that we taught them, and they had a parade the next week, and the rest was kind of history. But as far as Eric and I are concerned, we never had any discussions about who was doing what, who was the lead, who was second fiddle, if you will. But it just happened to be that if there was a new tune being taught, either Eric would volunteer to do it, or I would, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
So that's where it was. It was never a problem. In fact, I think probably that Eric and I were the first team, I guess, that ever really taught a drumline in that era. Because generally speaking, the people's egos got in the way an awful lot.
Yeah.
Certainly, we didn't have that problem. So that's where it came from. So
we inherited some serious talent. I mean, we were very fortunate. I mean, wow.
Yeah, there were a couple guys in there that had okay careers through the drum corps world.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
One or two that have made made a slight mark on the activity. So.
Slight.
You could say that.
Yeah, just so when going towards back to something that we had touched on earlier about the intensity and what became like the mystique of the Crossmen drumline, was there ever a conscious effort once you guys saw that intensity out of the players to kind of perpetuate that, to make that? Was there ever a conscious decision to make that part of the package that you were putting together?
Well, Bill, go ahead. I personally, I don't think we had a master plan, but go ahead, Bill.
Well, no, quite frankly, we didn't. In those days, you showed up for a rehearsal and you ran a rehearsal, and that was pretty much it. But the bottom line was, Eric is absolutely correct. Those guys were all good players in their own right, no question about it. So when they did something, it was each guy. If you made a mistake, you had to answer to the guy next to you, and that wasn't a good thing to do. So anyway, from there, it just perpetuated itself. They had their own field of excellence, and they wanted to excel in everything they did.
Right.
And it was amazing what those guys did as far as putting the book together. It was literally, I'll write the song, you write the song, I'll write the song, we'll get together on this one, And as I said to you before, that legacy continued until '96 at least, when Eric and Billy did it, and then Chris and Tom did it, and then Chris and Mark did it, and then Mark took the long, series of years, and then I think Hannum came back.
Yep.
And then, actually, I think it was Lee Bettis after that.
For 1 or 2 years, and then Garrett Hazlitt, who marched for 8 years in the 90s, took it over for 2 years. So there was really only, through that span from 75 through 2006, there was only 1 or 2 years where somebody that did not march in the Corps taught the line.
The legacy or the contribution is really about the time that Tom and I spent there and we were together, both in school and there. And I think the work that we did, there's been lots of great stuff that's come after it, and that's what you hope for. But I think we certainly set a pretty big stage for others to follow. We established something that was was pretty darn good, and then others could follow in those footsteps. And so I think we did well there.
Oh, actually, it was just something that I had picked up somewhere that I thought was really cool. And, it was 6 counts long. So, of course, you had to go over bar lines, and I love going over bar lines. And so I put it in the show, and it fit, and I liked it, and that was it. I thought it was over. And then the next year, it was like, I liked it so much, I'm going to put it in again. And then, of course, it gets legs from there. And next thing you know, it's in everything you do. And, there's videos about it now. So.
There's a couple things, but I think the thing that's at the top of the list for me, it's being part of the merger.
Okay.
I mean, that helped to create the Corps. And so I think that one's number one for me as far as the legacy part of it. And I think then honestly, staying with the Corps, for 8 years and then coming back another couple, and so being there for, it wasn't like I was passing through. There was a pretty significant commitment of, block of my time, my life, I guess, where I was doing the Crossmen, and I have to say that leaving there was a brutally difficult decision. In 1977, when we found out that we had actually made it into finals. I mean, I'm getting chill bumps right now talking about it. that was just something incredibly special, and super proud of that, because that, that helped put the Corps into a different range of recognition. And yeah, I mean, it was pure passion. It wasn't like there was no previous know-how. We had a few people that came on board. Ralph Pace, probably the most notable, who kind of understood that level, but we didn't really understand that level, so it was all just sort of figure it out as you go along. And, we were just doing the best that we could. And the good news is we stuck together. That's what that Corps was. You lived that drum corps. And I think that's why it's this very special place. And that got into the DNA of the organization. It got into the DNA of the membership, and dare I say, the staff, because many of the staff people for years and years were folks that had marched in the Corps and stuck with it and continued on. And
well, as far as a member, it just that memory of just doing whatever it took to just survive and get through, just to get through it, and just to keep working and just to keep trying. That perseverance was a pretty valuable lesson, along with subconsciously learning what doesn't work and what not to do when I kind of grew into the role of then being on staff and knowing not how to repeat some of the things that didn't work, when I was a member. And again, that was all a subconscious thing, but it was definitely something that I thought about all those years when I was able to come back and teach. As far as when I was on staff, the obvious one was getting the drum corps back into the night show. Regaining finalist status in 1989. After the Corps was close to extinction in '86. And again, having a lot of friends that were on that staff and still having people in the drum corps that I had marched with in '85, and being able to come back on board in '88 and having a pretty good drum corps at the end of that summer in '88, and knowing, okay, '89 is going to be the year we're going to be able to do this. And then '89 being a struggle to get through that tour, but to make finals and to get to drum corps and be a part of getting the drum corps back into finalist status, that was huge. That's, out of all the years that I taught, that was, you cannot understand what that was like, to persevere and to be a part of getting the Crossmen back into finals. So.
Well, let's stick with the bones. I mean, the two times with the Crossmen that really stick out in my mind are both in Montreal, and it's finals in '81 and '82. Least working with the drum corps. Both were very proud moments because 81's line had, the drum line and the Crossmen with those guys that were in it had come a long way. And in both situations, we were housed with the Madison Scouts. And I remember distinctly, '81 was a great year for the Madison Scouts. They came happening thing, and of course the horn line was a very happening thing, and that stadium was very small, and it had a and in '81 we got our faces ripped off, and they were a more mature drum corps.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pride in all this because you learn from other people, and then you see what back in '82, and they had it wasn't as mature of a drum corps. They had a big turnover in kids who had marched for a while, and said I guess had aged out, and 82 was that drum line for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was as clear as it was in 81. Flip the switch in 82. What we were producing was just far superior to what they were doing. So they there were a lot of conversations between the Theos, the folks at Madison, and us, and it was like, man, just like last year, this year was a lot. So that was a lot of fun.
Without a doubt, 78 prelims.
Okay.
That was one of our best shows I think I've ever been a part of. Total corps wise, you just felt it. We came in 6th place for a corps that was really in only existence for 4 years, and we got disqualified for one of them. I could tell you, walking around afterwards, I wouldn't even take my cape off because I still wanted my cape on because I just came in 6th place. Walking around the whole stadium and all that type of thing, that was pretty amazing.
From 97, in 97, it was a situation where the membership, the staff, the design team, everyone was working towards making it better every step of the way from beginning to end. And having marched every year, that's not always the case. Or having marched 7 years, that wasn't always the case.
Right.
So that consistent effort towards working towards excellence, that was evident in 97. And like I said, we were not very excellent at the beginning of the year, but we got there at the end. And the payoff was certainly walking in the quarterfinals. Many members that I talked to, we still remember and recall walking into a standing ovation before we even played a note. Yeah. The crowd, they were anticipating our arrival, anticipating us doing the show. And that was a pretty surreal moment.
Semifinals and making finals. Because I told them from the beginning of the year, that's what we were going to do. And they were able to do it. So, the trust that the members had in me and the rest of the staff was phenomenal. And even though it was kind of a surprise to some people, I really truly did expect it to happen.
One of the other proudest moments that I have, it's not a pretty one, but it was 1986 when the Corps had pretty much lost its heartbeat and there was really nothing going on for a few months. Yeah. And when a bunch of people decided to bring this thing back to life, and we got the Corps on the field, and we were down at Wilmington for opening night. And, we did the opener and the drum solo because we knew that. And then we told the kids, when you're done, just walk back to the opener. We're going to do it again. We needed as many reps as possible back then. But that was certainly one of the lowest competitive points in the drum corps history, but certainly one of the proudest because we had kept it alive, and look where we are today.
So much history in Crossmen percussion. Just incredible. I mean, the Crossmen Hall of Famers that we heard from there. Tom Hannum, Chris Thompson, Chris Spice, Del Adair. And in just a moment, we're going to hear from, I think this guy's probably headed for the DCI Hall of Fame at some point, Lee Bettis. If he's not already in, double check that for me, will you, producer? Lee Bettis, the current percussion caption manager for Crossmen, is going to be our guest coming up in a little bit on this Crossmen live webcast. If you've just joined us, hi, I'm Dan Potter. It is my pleasure to be your host for the entire 2.5 hours of our very special Crossmen live webcast. You can support Bones right now by texting the word Bones, B-O-N-E-S, to 41444. 41444. We're trying to raise $60,000 for Crossmen today. We're at $15,387. Thanks to Curtis Grant. Thanks to Mike Lennox for giving. William Rowland, thank you. Thank you to Diego Foran and Edward Arena. Edward Arena. Where have I heard that last name before? Mike Arena is the brand new core director of Crossmen and joins me now in the press box here at Butler Community College at the BG Veteran Sports Complex. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Congratulations on the new
Thank
gig.
You.
You're a 2004 Crossmen alum.
I am.
Correct?
Yep.
You're a young guy, dude. What were you doing before you took this job?
So I've worked for the last 10 or 15 years as an educational representative for different music stores in the southeastern PA area. I've been working with educators on professional development and making sure that they have the tools they need in their classroom. Basically since 2004, I've been doing that.
When did you wake up and say, you know what I want to do next? I want to run a Crossmen.
You know what? I mean, the Crossmen have always been a huge, huge part of everything I've done in my professional career. And being able to come back to the core that got me started, when I saw the opportunity, it was one that I knew I'd kick myself if I never went for it. And I went for it, and here we are.
Here we are. Here we are trying to raise money
Yes.
for the core. Give us kind of the checkup, the physical health of the Crossmen as we stand here on July 10th. How are they doing?
They're doing really well. I mean, the members are working their butts off trying to get through spring training and get the show back on the field. It's been a learning curve, just, not being in drum corps for the last year and a half, 2 years, and being able to get them back in the swing of things. The organization's in a great spot. The organization is strong, and we're, pushing forward, and we cannot do it, though, without the alumni donations and support that we've got, the different things that we've been doing as far as sponsor a meal and the wish list stuff has been huge for us here in spring training and for the members on the field.
In that last video clip, I think it was Tom Hannum who alluded to the fact that survival and survival skills are somehow embedded in the DNA of Crossmen. I cannot think of another drum corps in the history of this activity that has jumped through more hoops to stay alive, have moved across the country, have combined with other corps, have almost folded I don't know how many times, but have brought themselves back from the brink. What is that? What allows this corps to survive?
It's the resilience of these members and the alumni and being able to just rise from the ashes every time. I knew it when I marched, the alumni support that was there, and it's here still now, and all of these members that are going to be on the field, hopefully later if we get out of this lightning stuff, all of them are ready to be able to carry on that legacy and feel the weight of that legacy.
Tell us about summer. I mean, here we are having spring training in the middle of July.
Yeah.
Let's start with this facility first. Butler
awesome.
Community College. You're spread out all over the campus. You pretty much have the run of the place.
We took over the town, and they've opened up their arms to us. We were able to perform at a baseball game right before 4th of July. They've really opened up everything to us. Everything we've asked for, they've opened up and made it possible for us. The amazing stadium that we're in. We've got the Fine Arts Band Hall and everything up there, dance studios, indoor field house. It's incredible, the facilities here.
And the performers have already told me, hey, we get to stay in apartments.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge. We're not sleeping on a gym floor. We're not sleeping in a locker room. We're in apartments. Everyone has, nice clean showers and everything, which is a huge thing. It's been really good for their morale going forward.
And I know we love San Antonio, but it's probably 20 degrees cooler on average here than San Antonio as well. Trying to do this in July, that had to be something you thought about.
For sure. Absolutely.
How are you handling the COVID thing?
We've been really careful with our bubble. Everyone who comes into the bubble, all members were pre-vaccinated before tour. Anyone who comes into our bubble as a volunteer or anything else has to be vaccinated and also gets a rapid test when they get on site. Yourself not excluded from that. So
myself,
we were able to make
my
that
wife
happen
Martha,
today.
we both up the nose right here, right before we did this broadcast. So
Right.
we're clean, we're good, everybody's good.
So we're making sure that anyone who enters the bubble is still being safe with all the COVID protocols. And, members are really secluded to our bubble here. So as far as free days and that kind of stuff, it's not really a thing. We're able to get everything to them that they need instead of, making the Walmart runs or something like that along the way.
Well, Mr. New Crossman Director, this is your chance to talk to that alumni base, to talk to the Crossman Nation out there, and let's get some money out of them. What would you say to them?
Absolutely. I mean, we can't survive without the alumni base and from your donations. We are here because you were here. And please, anything you can do to text BONES to 41444. We're so pumped that we're able to do this today, have Dan here to do this today. The members are really excited to debut part of their show for you tonight as well. Anything you can do to donate to the Corps, it's very, very appreciated.
$60,000 is our goal. We're at $16,000. Our match is at, we've got a $20,000 match, I'm being told off camera. Our match is $20,000. When we hit 20,000 on the board, the match kicks in. So, hey, folks, get us another $4,400 and some dollars, and we get 20,000. Do it now. Mike Arena, thank you
Dan,
so
thank
much.
you so much.
I really appreciate
it.
This is fun. I'm watching the numbers go up right now. This is fantastic. Come on, BONES. Text BONES to 41444. If you have people who can't watch this right now, we are going to make this available on the YouTube channel. So watch it again. Invite others who may have missed it to watch it. We're going to keep the whole donation process open long after this live portion of the webcast is over. A couple of other things to tell you. We have special donor items on the donation page. It's your move, cause-driven gifts. You can have your name put on an Aussie or on a flag or on a drum that goes out onto the field. You can also sponsor a meal. You can have your name presented to the Corps as they pass through the food line. It's your move. You can make a difference. BONES is back. It is time for us to back the BONES. Text BONES right now, BONES to 41444. All right, let's get back to the clips. This is a good one. This is Lee Bettis, and he has advice for the current Crossman drumline.
My name's Lee Bettis. I am the percussion director of the Crossmen, and this is my third time back at the Crossmen this year in 2021. I was with the Crossmen first back in 2001 when it was part of the YEA organization, and was with Crossmen from 01 to 04. And then I was back with the Crossmen again, writing the show in 2011, 12, and 13. And this is like I said, my third time back with the Corps. In this role, the percussion director, so I'm in charge of basically all the percussion and arranging and making sure that our members get a great experience. So that's my my Crossman history. Sure, yeah. I mean, I marched the Garfield Cadets back in the late 80s, 87 to 90. And so at that time, Tom Hannum was the arranger and percussion guy. So, I mean, obviously Tom came from the Crossmen and had his roots there. And I learned a lot about, different techniques on how to approach percussion from Tom Hannum, actually. So that was a big Crossman connection. When I aged out in 91, Chris Thompson from the Madison Scouts at the time, who also was obviously a Crossman alumni, hired me as his snare tech / caption head of Madison for 91 and 92. So it was like a natural progression for me coming from the cadets to go over under Chris, because he was trying to bring that East Coast thing to the Scouts drumline at the time. And, we had some pretty successful years there as well, my first couple of years. And and then I ended up back with Tom again in 93 at Star, helping out just, where I could with the corps that year as well. So I've always had that Crossman lineage, back there. And in fact, it's funny because, Hannum then went back to the Crossman in like the late 90s, I believe, for and then I came in after that at the early 2000s. I even have more connections. Like when I started writing at the Phantom Regiment, like 95, 96 era, I had Kirk Gay, who was there at the time, who had some Crossman connections as well. He was the pit arranger. Mm-hmm. And that's why I believe that's kind of when I started meeting Mark, because I ended up I would have a Crossman alumni on my staff, like as a bass tech or a snare tech, or I would have them, so there was always a connection there with the Crossman. I met Mark in the early 90s, I believe, probably through Chris or, just being around the activity. And I've been friends with Mark ever since. I mean, I've been judging WGI now. As you know, he's the percussion director at WGI. I've been doing that since like 99, 98, 99, in that range. And he's a great friend to this day. It's kind of interesting. And it's funny, other guys like Jim Dwyer, I get to hear about the stories of the late 70s with Jim and the early 80s, I guess, and then I hear stories from Chris or Mark, and it's all great stuff. When I look at this year with Crossman in 21, I mean, I'm kind of starting like I was in 2001, like, 20 years ago. It's kind of the same principle. I have Frank Chappell in with me this year, who was with me back then too. And Frank's been with me since Phantom Regiment, way back in the 90s. Wow. And so I think, we're working on a foundation. We're trying to teach the kids to have fun playing and to be aggressive and just bring back that Crossman, feel that lineage we talked about, right? I have history with that, so it's easy for me to teach it because it's part of me. So that's I'm excited for this year because I think we went big this year, because the rules for DCI, decided they can expand the core size. So, we went with 10 snares, 6 tenors, 5 basses. I'm like, yeah, let's go big, man. Let's try to get as many as we can who can hang in with this thing. So then, we get them a great experience this summer. It's not competitive, but it's still a drum corps season. And I'm looking at this thing like, hey, we're going to train the crap out of these kids at our foundation year, as I talked about in like 01. Mm-hmm. And then when we come back in 22, I mean, we're going to be that farther ahead and, just try to really make this a destination drum corps again for percussionists and have people want to come to the Crossmen play and know what they're going to get when they get there. They're going to have some great notes, some great, moments in the show, and, just have that vibe. Just stay, let's do the foundations correctly. Let's be patient and get down to basics and continue cranking through the show, on a daily basis. That's basically what I'm going to suggest this year is about. Let's just get to basics.
I mean, you work, but if you aren't having fun, you should get out. Really. I
That's
see these
true.
kids today sweating and stuff in this weather and the shit they have to go through every like 4 hour rehearsals and stuff. Whatever, it is what it is. But to me, you got to have fun with this stuff. I know that's not a really deep, heavy thing, but I'm sorry. You got to enjoy yourself.
Absolutely correct. Mine would be to a new member. Leave your ego at home.
Yes. Yeah.
Just come and be one in the group, and everything will be fun.
Like I said before, we were a combined core, and we just grew over the years. And I think that in most drum lines is a major factor. You know, retention, come back. Like I said, by 78, we all knew when we had to go to the bathroom together. You know what I mean? That's how tight of a drum line we were. You know what I mean? You grow with one another for a common cause, and I would, you know, I really believe that's a great path to go. You know, push the core to become the best that it can be. It's so easy to just go, I'm going to go here or there, or any day, like you said. But holding true to the core and its values and believing behind what they're trying to do is priceless.
I think being honest about your commitment comes to mind. I think, you know, the years I marched and the years I taught, and now all these years later, being a part of another thing where, you know, you're seeing the evolution of the performer and all the ways they're being pulled on in different directions, whether they're being, you know, they're being a part of this indoor, their high school thing, and then trying to do the drum corps thing, or, you know, trying to get their way through college, or trying to get their way through the beginning of a career, or trying to, you know, whatever it is they're trying to do, plus drum corps. I think being honest about your commitment is the thing that always comes to mind. You know, if the drum corps is saying, here's what we need from you, be honest about that. You know, be honest about your commitment all the time. You know, don't be in or don't do it.
I would say enjoy the journey as you're doing it. Take time to really look at what you have, what you're a part of, all the people around you, what you're able to accomplish. And while you're doing that, just work towards.
I think to respect the lineage and the history of the organization. And I think that the Corps does a great job of that, from everything that I can see and hear and tell. But I think I think it's really huge, and stay with it. I mean, like, the Corps was built through people staying with it, and the Corps will get to a next place, not by people seeking the grass is greener, but by staying with it and building their own identity. Right? We talked about identity at the outset, and that's what people gravitate to. They want to be part of something that is got a bit of uniqueness to it, and, you know, build the program to its fullest potential. And you don't do that by going elsewhere. You know, and, you know, it's not unusual these days, right? You know, people, it's 1-2 years, maybe. If you're in a Corps for 3 years, you're kind of like, you're in a smaller minority. So it's hard. I mean, I get it. It's harder to do it like that these days, because they're full summers. I mean, like, when we were doing it, I was still working during the day. I would go out to where my father worked, and I was cutting the fields and doing the stuff out at the Sun Oil lab in Newtown Square. So I was able to, like, work and earn money, and then go to practice at night, then go do that the next day and go to practice at night. Then we did a first tour. Then we came back. There was 2 weeks that we were at home. Then we did a second tour. So it was totally different. But yeah, if you can stick with it, man, you won't regret it. You won't regret it.
It's sort of cliche, but do every run, every repetition like it's your last, and so that if you look back on your time there, you don't have any regrets, because it's an awful, it's an enormous commitment to be a part of something like that with your friends, your brothers and sisters, and in the Corps, and spending time with the staff and the supports. Everybody that's involved is critical to the success of the organization. So you don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let other people down. But the biggest motivator, I think, is doing it, for yourself. If you're making that kind of commitment, you don't want to get to a point where, sometimes things do come down to like 1/10 of a point. And you don't want to look back on that and say, well, that one day I was kind of a little tired and I dogged it for a block. You don't want that in the back of your head. So if it's worth doing, it's worth doing 100%.
Treasure every moment you have with the Corps. Years down the road, you won't remember the scores, you won't remember the placements, but you'll remember what it feels like to play within the line. And to make sure that you give it your best every single day, every single rep. And one thing I always told the drum line: no excuses, no regrets.
Boy, every word we just heard is true, isn't it? Especially that part about, I'm 40 years removed from marching. I couldn't tell you a single score we ever got. Can barely tell you who we beat that was significant. But I can tell you what it felt like. I can tell you what those bus rides were like. I can tell you what that life experience is like. I can tell you how performing with the Corps I marched with impacts me still every single day. And I know if you marched, the same thing is true, right? In your job, in your dealings with others, it's all still there. All that stuff that you learned in Corps is still there. And that is especially true with Crossmen alumni. If you're wondering, I didn't march Crossmen. I am so honored. After last year's Crossmen Live fundraiser, Natalie Steele and the Crossmen alumni made me an honorary Crossman. And I wear this with so much pride. The Corps that I marched with was the Geneseo Knights of Geneseo, Illinois. Just by coincidence, the symbol of that Corps was a cross. Not a Maltese cross like this one, but a kind of a Gothic cross. And I don't know, I just kind of feel an affinity with Crossmen and always have. In fact, when I marched, we shared an arranger, Larry Kirshner. I think we even shared an opener, as I recall. Spirit of Spain, Spiritu España. I think, I'll have to double check that, but I think we both played that same opener in the late 70s, like 79 or 80. Somebody undoubtedly is going to let us know. That was so cool to hear from all of those percussion legends over the years for Crossmen. And especially now Lee Bettis, who, as he said, never marched, but he feels like he's a Crossman, right? Lee Bettis, maybe the most Lee Bettis thing I've ever heard said was, we're going to teach the crap out of these kids. Lee Bettis, 2021. I love that. All right, let's back the bones. Text bones right now to 41444. Text bones, BONES, to 41444. Let's see if that video had an impact on a current member of Crossman's percussion section. Please welcome Sean Mullins. Sean, come on in here. I keep hitting this microphone, y'all. I'm so sorry about that. That's got to sound awful. Hi, Sean. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We pulled you right out of rehearsal. If we can show a shot of the field real quick. Nobody's out there right now. The field is drying out. We're out from under the lightning protocol, so we expect the Corps probably to be back out on the field here shortly. In the meantime, Sean, thanks for being up here with us.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How old are you?
I'm 22. I'm from a small town called Skipwith, Virginia. I went to a little school called Bluestone High School. That's where I started to get into drums and led to where I am today.
Where you are today is a tenor for Crossmen. Big tenor line is your 5 tenors. Lee said 6, but you're down to 5. But what made you want to come to Crossmen?
My first summer back in 2017, I was marching with the Jersey Surf, and on finals night, I was walking around the finals lots, watching the groups go, and I saw Crossmen perform when they had those solid chrome drums, and I just remember listening to the music, watching their body, watching the way the staff interacted with the students, and it felt right. In that moment, I just remember thinking, this is it. This is where I want to go.
Well, you've been here in spring-summer training, so to speak, for several weeks now, and you had obviously all of that delayed last year by the pandemic. So here you are at 22, having this modified drum corps experience. What do you think of it so far?
It's been quite a ride. I'm incredibly grateful that I had the opportunity to come back and really finish out strong what my big dream was, and that was to march on Saturday night. And I'm really, really happy that I get to do that, and that Crossmen is really pushing to make that happen. Yeah.
Say a little bit about the members this year and what you're seeing in rehearsal, and especially in the drum line.
We are, just like myself, we are absolutely pumped to be back. We are really excited to set a foundation for the future. You know, we've had some people come in and talk about how drum corps has really reset this year, and Crossmen is taking advantage of that, and we're making sure that in the future we're not backing off. We're gonna go stronger.
If you're just joining us, Sean Mullins is tenor drummer for Crossmen, one of the tenor line, and we're trying to raise money for Bones. 41444, that's the number you text Bones to, and let me just double check. $17,843 is where we're at. We are very close, within $2,200 of making $20,000. When we hit $20,000, we get a matching $20,000, so it doubles automatically. So please donate now and get us to that $20,000 mark. Sean, I saw you very attentively listening to and watching those percussion legends talk about their advice to current members. Was there any particular thing that stuck with you?
Yeah, the quote, "Play every rep like it was your last." That one really stuck with me because I've already marched 3 years. You know, I understand the gruel. I understand how difficult it can be to get through day-to-day life in the activity. And when you remember that, it really helps get you to the end strong.
Do you think you're going to miss competition and scores and looking at the breakouts and the numbers and stuff?
A little bit, because that's part of, I think, what draws people to the activity is the competitive aspect about what we're doing. That's really, I think, a big part of what drives people to move forward. And even though we don't have that this year, that's not stopping us now. You know.
Okay, so what is your motivation this year?
My motivation is to set up something not for myself, but for the people after me. This is my last year, so I'm going to max this out for myself. But what I'm really excited about is what people see this year and how many people it brings into the organization next.
I'm giving everybody who's standing up here with me a chance to talk directly to the Crossmen Nation and tell them why they should give. Can you help me out with that?
I think because Crossmen is doing something great. You know, we're not using this year as an excuse to relax and lay back and just kind of let things go as they will. No, we're pushing, we're striving, we're really trying to make this our own.
Sean Mullins, it's been a pleasure to meet you, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sean Mullins, tenor for the Crossmen. You need a reason to donate after that? I don't think so. I think that says it all. Text BONES, B-O-N-E-S, text BONES to 41444. And Sean, I appreciate it. Thank you, man. I'll let you get back to rehearsal. I know it's cooler in here. It may actually be cooler out on the field because our air conditioning on this side of the press box is stopped. So I'll let you get back to rehearsal. We'll wrap this up. Thanks again, man.
Thank you.
Sean Mullins, tenor, the Crossmen. All right, what's coming up? Let's change captions. Let's go to the color guard. And we have a little round table of color guard captains talking about the impact of the Corps on their lives. They also have advice 4 core members this year. But as we do this, as we enjoy this content, text BONES to 41444. Try to get us up over $20,000 so we get that matching money. Text BONES to 41444. Much more to come from El Dorado, Kansas, right here on Crossmen Live.
I'm Ronnie Pelosis. I was Ronnie Zepp. I was in the original drum corps. I came from the Hornets. I started marching when I was 11 in 1972. And one of my greatest memories of the merger was the very first rehearsal. I can remember it like it was yesterday because I never saw so many flags and rifles in one spot in my whole life. It was just like amazing. It only happened one night. I mean, a lot of people weren't there the second time. Jenny remembers she was there. It was pretty exciting.
My name is Kim Robinson. My dad was the first director of the Corps, so I was a very young 10 years old when the Corps started in 74. You know, I want to say I marched from 75 to 85, but 1975, I was kind of more of like, I felt like the color guard mascot. I was able to do parades and retreat only, you know, and then in 1976, I was in the American flag section. We still had one of those. And in 77, I really felt a part of the program as I became a flag. In my 11 seasons, I was able to get 6 DCI finals, and I was in 6 different color guard uniforms. We all kind of joked early on. We had so many pieces. You know, the hat, the shirt, cross sashes, gauntlets, boots, stockings, skirt, cape. And although it was, oh my gosh, so hot and we hated it back then, I'm so proud to say that I did get to wear a cape and an Aussie. So that was really cool. And I also got to see over the decades, over 2 different decades, the change in color guard. Our uniforms were becoming more attractive, more fun. We were, you know, dancing more and more involved. So it's been a great journey, and being part of the leadership team meant the world to me at the time, and it means the world to me now.
My name is Joyce Wolfram-Roos. I started marching in 1985, and I aged out in 1991. It had a lot of lasting effects because I met my husband in the Crossmen, and we've been married for 26 years, and we have triplets. Being a part of color guard is like a wonderful thing for anybody to be able to do, especially if you can't play an instrument. You know, you're still a part of the unit. I always feel like we bring the, you know, the music to life. Like that's my feeling of color guard. So we make it more interesting.
My name's Bonnie White. I marched 75 to 81. Being a guard captain is stressful. But it also made me a stronger person and more self-reliant. All the jobs that I had over the years, my jobs were always with people, customer service, medical assistant. So I always was dealing with people. And I think being a guard captain helped me with dealing personality-wise with all those different jobs that I had.
My name is Jenny Hughes, and I started in 1974. That's when the Crossmen got together, and I marched until 1978. The I can do attitude. So I didn't realize this until I started to all you girls again, started talking, that I still do that. I have control, and I have that attitude. I can do it. Even though I can do it. Yes, I can. I can do it.
My name is Kim Jones. Maiden name is Kim Ely. I marched in the Corps 84 to 88, and I was part of the leadership team in 87 and 88. You look back now and realize really like how young you were at that time period, yet able to, you know, multitask, all of those things, move with a purpose. I still say that now, like to my kids, and I still teach color guard. So I'm always, you know, move with a purpose, grab and go, you know, it's constantly, you know, still moving with that high intensity, you know, through my whole life. And so I think that was embedded in me very young.
Hi guys, my name is Jeff Saktik, and actually I'm alumnus of the Crossmen from 1982, and I wrote the drill in 97 and 98. I've taught with Joyce at Blackwatch. I taught Amy. I know Mark through my older brother, and so I'm here representing Michelle Owens, who was an alumnus of the Corps from 1990 to 1994, and she went on to teach the drum corps from 95 to 2000, and also in 2015 to 2016. So I'm honored to be here to talk about her. For Michelle, I can tell you that the Crossmen saved her life, and the Crossmen opened the world for her. That she that helped her gain some personality, some identity, and her positive attitude about it all. It was never a bad day for Michelle. Some of the worst days that I'm sure we all remember, the grind that we go through, whether it's weather or rehearsing long, she saw it as a place of her happy place, that she always made it a point. If somebody was down, she wanted to pick them up. So she wanted to have a smile on her face, and she would do something crazy, or she would talk to somebody at a break, or if she saw somebody dragging, she made sure that she reached out so they were having a great time.
I'm Marcy Allen Thurston. I marched 87 and 89, so I got to march with Joyce. And lasting effects, it's just everywhere in your life, really. You always have family. Being in the Crossmen means you always have family somewhere. And what Joyce said about, color guard being family, especially because you're in the trenches together, and sometimes color guard's forgotten in the back of the field in an arc forever. You kind of bond back there. And so, of course, I met my husband in drum corps, and we've been married. It'll be 30 years in October. So that's a very lasting effect. The best people I ever met in my life are drum corps people. And, with Crossmen, it's family.
So I'm Danielle Reedy. I marched 2005 through 2010. I was captain in 2010. So you don't have to be super loud and, have that personality to be a strong leader. And I think that's something that I kept through being a high school director, and then even now, in my everyday job, taking a leadership role is, my personality type. I think it's okay that I can be more a quiet person and a lead by example person and still be a leader. And I think that's probably something that I learned at Crossmen.
My name is Amy Clark Budock, and I marched in the color guard from 1994 to 99. And I was one of the color guard captains from 97 to 99. And then I did go on to teach in 2000, the Crossmen as well. And I don't know if it was specifically being a leader, so to speak, but I think my experiences just from being a member of the Crossmen and in the drum corps activity in general are all those life lessons that we learned. And I truly believe that being in drum corps has helped shape me into the person that I am, not only because of the activity and the work ethic that we had to portray and the dedication and teamwork, but just the friendships that we have created and the family that we had helped you to want to be a better person and wanted you to work hard for the team, for the group, and not just for yourself. And when I was a leader, you had to try and find that balance of making sure people were doing what they were supposed to be doing, but also finding a way to kind of almost uplift them and celebrate them, because there were certainly a lot of hard days and we really needed each other to get through them, and trying to find those positive little tidbits without being annoying to try and get everybody to get through the time together was really something and really special. And it's sometimes some of those moments that stick out the most.
I can pick two words. I would say patience and tolerance. I've learned to carry with me through the years and still today. And I feel like being in that position of a guard leader, taking on the responsibility. In 1984, we didn't have a guard captain at first. I was teaching color guard work as well as running the winter rehearsal. So that gave me inspiration to teach color guards, in my future. But the patience and tolerance, it just, I don't know, because you're dealing with different personalities, you are put in so many difficult situations, bus breakdowns, sweating, no showers for a couple days sometimes, no food. I mean, there's so many things that, you learn that patience and tolerance from. And that has helped me immensely.
I think it even goes further to acceptance. Like, I didn't know who was poor, who was rich, who went to what school. Like, we were all, to me, the same. We were all members of a corps working towards a common goal.
I would just say to really try to remember the people and the conversations, and the journey, because there were some great performances that we had, but really, I think part of the draw of drum corps and what makes it such a drug to us was the challenge of putting the show together. And the next run, I'm going to be perfect. And, this is, putting it together, that whole challenge, like the performances were a gas. They were super fun. And I'll never forget my finals performance in '89. My very last performance was amazing, but it was the journey getting there, that there are pieces that people will say to me, "Hey, Marcy, remember in '89 when blah, 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 blah?" And I'll go, "No, I don't remember that." Because I was so stressed out at trying to be the perfect color guard member and not make any mistakes that I made so many mistakes. And it, just to relax into it and lean on your friends and just try to take in the journey.
The secret is you need one good friend to be with you all the time who you can vent to and talk to. And when you're having those moments, when you're having a breakdown, like they're having it too. So mine was Lori Evans. Anybody who's marched with us, like we were always together all the time. Like seat buddies, like she was in front of me, like all the time. We were the two in there. We go in the bathroom, have a little cry. Okay, it's going to be good.
Jeff, if Michelle were here, what would she want to say to the future color guard? What do you think she would say?
I think she would tell people to be fearless and to enjoy and go after every moment, and don't let an opportunity go by, and do with a smile on your face.
Believe in yourself, be confident. And like some of the others said, you're not alone. So find those people that you can rely on. Don't be afraid to delegate. And just because you're the captain doesn't mean you have to be the person to do it. There are however many other members there, and they can assist with some of the jobs. So be confident, believe in yourself, find a group of people that can kind of help you out, as well as somebody to vent to. Like Joyce said, that will certainly get you through. But you're not alone, and you can do this. And if the staff did not believe in you, then they would not have chosen you.
Always look to learn more things in life, because we know that we can do that. We know that we have the ability to learn something new every year and really perfect it. And we've all done that. So I think that's something definitely I would take with me, and I would tell that to the future leaders, is that learn something new every year. Be a life learner. And I think it is part of your drum corps experience.
Well, I think for me, like I marched in some unique years, because I marched in the non-finals years, like specifically, like my rookie year was the first year out, and then right after I aged out, they were back in. So so I think for me, especially my age out year, there was a lot of like questioning why like, why did I stay? But I think now, like, looking back, there's like no regret that I stayed. I think there's like no doubt in my mind that it was worth it. And I had like a cool moment in 2019 where, like, when the Corps was like up in Pennsylvania, and we got to go see them and like talk to the guard one day, and I like actually got to tell them that like they were why. Like, when I watched them, I'm like, oh, like they are why. Because if you don't stay, people, you know, when things are rough, like, it's never going to get better. And it was like, because, you know, people like me and Leanne, who like stuck around for all those years when it was rough, that they were able to get through it, and the Corps was able to get back to where they are today. So I think, like, even on your hardest days when you're questioning like if it's worth it, to know that it is, and even if you can't see it in the moment, eventually you will.
Eventually you will. Even in your hardest moments, know that it's all worth it. It's all worth it. Hey, I'm Dan Potter. We're live in the press box at Butler Community College. This is BG Products Veterans Sports Complex, home of training camp for the 2021 Crossmen. And this is Crossmen Live, as we raise money to keep Bones in the business of enriching the lives of young performers for many, many more years to come. As we've already said in this broadcast, there is something in the DNA of this drum corps that allows it to survive. Think of how many hurdles Crossmen have had to jump over, how many hoops they've had to go through over these last few decades, from the 70s on, especially through the mid-80s, to survive, to be here today. And of course, all of Drum Corps through the past year fighting to survive. Crossmen, just like the other corps in that regard. We have a secret weapon, though. That's Crossmen alumni. That is our Crossmen Nation. That is the people who right now are picking up their phones and texting BONES to 41444 and pledging their money so that the Crossmen can continue well into the future. We should note that we are here at Butler College. This spring training is taking place in a COVID bubble. Everybody who comes on campus and attends training is actually COVID tested, my wife and I included, before this broadcast when we arrived on campus at Butler. We got the swab up the nose, came up negative, thank goodness, because we really wanted to be here to do this broadcast with you. We're going to continue on in just a moment with a montage of some of the best guard moments through the years, and there's some trivia attached to that too. That's coming up in just a little bit, but let's get caught up right now on the 2021 edition of Bones Guard, and our color guard captain is with us, Kylie Randall. Come on over here, Kylie.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, the guard is out there. They're warming up right now. Maybe we can show a quick shot of the field, because I got to tell folks, if the weather holds, and we think it will at this point, we will be able to show you what is done so far. I think is it pretty much the whole opener that's on the field at this point?
Yes, today we learned our last set of Mimic 3.
Okay, so
we got the opener though going out today.
We've got the opener on the field tonight. Actually, at the end of this broadcast, it'll be early this evening. It'll be in the 5 o'clock hour that we'll be able to show you Crossmen on the field and what they have done so far in their 2021 production. It's your move. So, Kylie Randall, give us the CV on you. Where are you from? How old are you? Why'd you come to Crossmen, and when?
Okay, well, I am from Springfield, Missouri. I come from Kickapoo High School.
Kickapoo, sure.
Yep, Kickapoo. The reason why I joined Crossmen was actually because my sister, she performed with Crossmen for 2018 through 19. And every single time she would come back home, she'd be like, I miss it so much. She'd talk about all the texts, like, I want to see them, I miss them. And she literally talked so much about it. And as soon as I was a senior, I was like, you know what, I'm going for it. Auditioned, made it onto 2020, went through that virtual year. 2021 came, I was like, oh, I'm ready for it. Let me at it. Give me that COVID test right now. Let's go.
I want to be in person with these people
all
right
COVID
now.
Tests right now. take it. Let's
Well,
go.
Well, tell us a little bit what that 2020 year was like and everything being virtual for you. Did you get any of the core thing from that year? You know what I mean?
I'd say yes in
Yeah.
some aspects, because what my caption head did that year was every single Sunday at around, I think, 6 p.m., we would have a meeting. And so during that meeting, we just hang out, get to spend time, because we would get choreography videos that we'd have to learn I think every 2 weeks is what it was. And we would just talk to each other. And we still got to bond with each other a lot. And so I still remember it. The person that was in charge for me was Demaria. Loved Demaria most. And so that was something that was really cool.
You've got a new staff this year for the Color Guard, right?
Yeah.
What's that been like?
It's really fun. I think we're all learning with a very new team, very new staff. I think that we're all learning a lot as we go through it. But it's crazy how talented all of our staff is. Like the first day, I think one of them literally threw a triple turnaround toss and then caught it, and we were just like, "That's our staff. That's our staff. It's gonna be a good year."
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You were watching in rapt attention to the Color Guard legends of Crossmen past as they were talking about their experiences. Anything stick with you while you were watching that?
I think that something that was really cool was Danielle. She talked about how her year was unique, and this year is definitely a unique experience completely with all the COVID tests. We are all vaccinated. That was something, but I think that it really is showing that we all pushed. Like, it shows how much we wanted it, and I think that really connects us a little bit more than an usual year, because it just shows how much we all really wanted it. So we did everything we could to get here.
You know, Sean Mullins was in here a little bit ago, and I asked him if he's going to miss the competitive aspect this summer and getting a number and looking at recaps. Are you going to miss that?
It's a little sad that we don't have any scores, but the first day that we were here, Tim Mikan, what he said to us is, this is still a competitive year. You're just competing with yourself, because we are wanting to get better. That is the point of this year. We are going to get better than what we started with, and that's something that I really think stuck with me.
Yeah.
And so every single day I'm just focused on trying to get better, and I think that's something that really did.
I mean, really, at the bottom line, that is, it's you're not competing against other corps and haven't been for a long time. You're competing against yourself.
Yeah.
I've given everybody the opportunity. I want to give you the opportunity to talk to the Crossman Nation and tell them why they should give.
I think they should give, because I think the thing that stuck with me the most with Crossman was because Natalie, the first thing she ever said to me when I first met her was Crossman's family. And that is a huge thing that's always stuck with me. If people ask me, why'd you stay with Crossman? I'll be like, family. I literally see Natalie. The first day I saw Natalie, after she literally remembered my name, I think the second day.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that really stuck with me, just her remembering my name and how many people still know my name.
And we heard some of the Guard alums say the exact same thing. No matter where you are in the country, if there's Crossman alumni nearby, you've got family nearby.
Yes, and that's why I love Crossman so much.
Kylie Randall, you're a delight. Thank you very much for
Thank
talking
you.
to us, and enjoy the rest of rehearsal. We'll look forward to seeing you perform on the field later.
Thank you.
Kylie Randall, Color Guard Captain of Bones 2021. How can you support Kylie Randall? You can do that by texting Bones right now to 41444 as we enjoy some great Crossman Color Guard moments and some trivia too. Check it out. You're watching Crossman Live. And you are looking live right now at the field here in El Dorado, Kansas at BG Products Veterans Sports Complex on the campus of Butler Community College. I am Dan Potter. You're watching Crossmen Live as we raise money to back the Bones. Text Bones to 41444 to give us your donation right now. We've got some amazing things for you to see and hear coming up. We'll have a long conversation in this next hour with Conrad Eisenhower about the show design, the Crossmen show this year, It's Your Move, based on chess. We get that, but what are the specifics? What's the music? What's the thought process behind the design? We'll get into that with visual caption manager Conrad Eisenhower coming up a little bit later on. And then we're going to see, I think the weather's going to hold. It's looking good out there. We're going to see what Bones has on the field so far, pretty much the opener of their 2021 production. You'll see that live right here on Crossmen Live. And we have an extra treat coming up too. There is a new arrangement of Russian Christmas music specifically for Crossmen. If you're a Crossmen fan, you know that Russian it's the deal with Crossmen, and it's the one that's going to tug at your heartstrings, and this new arrangement is spectacular. So you're going to want to hear that. That's coming up later too when the Corps performs, coming up after 5 o'clock. In the meantime, are we ready to do this? If you have been following along, you know that when we hit $20,000, we had a matching grant that was going to kick in. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're at $22,398. Natalie Steele back at Crossmen World Headquarters. Hit send on that thing, and let's take that up over $40K, shall we? Talk about being on our way to our goal of $60,000 for Bones. Yes, we are. Thank you to the alumni and to the board and to everybody who's contributed. Now at $42,398. My wife and I are big fans of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And of course, the number 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So here we are, $42,398, the answer to some of the situations that Crossmen might be facing over the next year. Let me tell you a little bit about this match that you just saw. The match began with our Guard alumni dedicating it as a memorial to two of our former great leaders, being Michelle Owens and Lori Evans. Additional matches have been made in honor of Brian Law, who passed away this year. Brian was an integral part of our Crossmen Live 2020 team last year. And the match has expanded to include a generous contribution by the Crossmen Board of Directors. So that's how we got that money right there. You, with your donations, though, pushed us over that $20,000 threshold that we had to get to trigger that matching grant. So that is fantastic. This show that you're watching right now will be posted on our site in a few days, so you can watch it again. You can tell others about it who may have missed it, and the donations will remain open at that time. Of course, Crossmen are always open to your donation. We do have some special donor items on the donation page. It's Your Move, cause-driven gifts. You can have your name put in an Aussie or on a flag or on a drum that goes on the field. You can also sponsor a meal and have your name presented to the Corps as they pass through the food line. Your move can make a difference. It's time to back the Bones. Text BONES to 41444. You'll get a link back to donate. So all of that is coming up, but in our immediate future, we have a look at the Crossmen brass from the earliest days, right back to the beginning through the early 90s. Let's do that right now as you text BONES to 41444. You're watching Crossmen Live.
Hey folks, you're in the presence of 3 of the 4 mellophones from 1978. The horses. I'm Ed Carr. I was in the mellophone line from 75 to 79. Dave?
I'm Dave Monticello. I was in the soprano line in 75 through 77 and played mellophone in 78 and 79.
And I'm Bill Boland. And I played soprano in 75, 6, and 7 and became a horse in the mellophone line in 78. And it was fun. Do you realize that the marching members of the 2021 Crossmen just might have grandparents that are younger than us?
Oh, but if it was the Kilties, they could march with us.
It's true. All right, so the transition from the G bugle to the B flat. How'd that go for you, Dave?
This is it. We didn't.
Oh.
Ed?
No, we didn't. Bill?
Didn't do it. You marched under different visual teams too.
Yes, we did.
How did their different approaches impact you as a performer?
Well, we already talked about that. That was the color guard's job. But Ralph made us play, and we did Let's Hear It From Me for the 15th time. And we were at one point, and Ralph wanted to see what someone would do during this particular point. And I thought it was a great idea that we shake our leg.
Oh, but the song goes, ba,
ba. So I shook my leg, and Ralph said, yes, we're doing that.
Because Ralph's like that.
Until we took it out. And then I remember, I think it was Allentown prelims. Yeah, everybody else didn't do it except for me. I had the foot shake solo.
It like returned to you for some reason.
Yeah.
And Bill?
Well, Nadia's theme. And it just, I was inspired. I just started going like this, you know. It's called the sway. And Ralph was like, come up here, Bill, come up here and do that for everyone. So I did. I went like this. And everyone picked up on it very quickly because choreography was part of our life.
Yeah.
And so that was really serious choreography.
That was our
I should have patented it.
That was our only choreography.
Damn it.
You marched under different visual teams. How did the different approaches impact you as a performer?
Well, when Ralph Pace came on board.
Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better.
So you marched under different brass staffs. How did their different approaches impact you as a performer?
Well, I remember when Mike Dennis came onto the scene, and he came onto the scene actually on the front of the bus, and he walked in and he said, you guys are better than you think you are, and you can do better than you think you can do. When you slap someone bigger than you in the face, you got to go back and be prepared to slap him again. And he was talking about the first time we beat the Muchachos, and I'm in the bus going, yeah, we can do this. And I love that, man. That was great. Had the most impact on the Corps' development. Well, that was 77 because of Russian. Russian is still being played by the Corps to this day. That's impact, friends. Eddie, had the greatest impact on your life.
1979, once again, we call this the year of the screw, because after that, I could not be a marching member in DCI Corps after that, and I didn't do my final year. I want you to think about the grander scope of your membership with the Corps. How has being a member of the Crossmen Horn Line impacted your life?
It's had a major impact in my life. Major. Just think how many years it's been since I was actually in the Horn Line, and yet I still buy clothing with Crossman logos, paraphernalia, and such. You should too. Eddie Carr. Crossman marching from 75 to 79. Horn Line. What would you say to someone marching in 2021?
Thank you. Thank you for continuing the Crossman tradition and participating in this thing that I never thought would survive one day after I left it.
Okay.
My name is Kevin McDermott. I was in the brass section in 1992 and 1994, and I played the soprano bugle. Enough about me. Without any further ado, it gives me great honor and pleasure to introduce Crossmen Hall of Famer, Max Pep. Give it up, everybody at home.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I was a brass tech and Tony's assistant in 82, and then I worked and wrote from 86 to 94. So my first year with Crossmen was 82, and I was actually up there in Montreal for finals and everything. And fast forward a couple of years, Mike Dennis calls me on Memorial Day weekend in 1986, and he says, "We need someone to write the closer." And I was like, Memorial Day weekend and you're writing the closer? The Corps was not doing very well. Like the whole progression started with a terrible Corps back in 86. And it was really probably not any fault of the kids. It was so mismanaged and kind of falling apart at the seams. And I think we did fold a couple times, technically. But thankfully, again, that bones thing works and kind of held people together and held the Corps together. I've said this a million times, that 88 Corps is the reason why 89 got to finals. The people kind of stuck it out and decided we're going to make this work, and they did. So you can see it on the field too. The progression from 87 to 88 to 89 was just a bunch of people learning how to do this. All of us, from staff, administration, down to the students on the field, we were just all figuring out at the same time. And then by the time Carl Rocco, Dennis DeLucia, Jack Meehan, suddenly 89 turns into 1990. And that's got to be the biggest change in a drum corps in DCI history. Has to be. You look at those close-ups of the 89 show, and like the uniforms are like, I don't know what the horns were with the bells, and we were building in the parking lot before the show. It was just, that corps had a lot of heart, and they worked their butts off to try to get where they were. And then once we got to 90, it looked easy, but all of that stuff that was 87, 88, and 89 made 90, 91, 92, all of that stuff happen.
I want to quickly mention a few brass players who were there in 86, 87, and 88 who were still on the field in 1992. Just a few. I know I can't name them all, but I know that Lateef, Jesse Townsend, and Reynolds Syriac were there during those mid-80 years, and then we're still on the field in 1992, coming in 6th place. How important is it, Matt, for a Corps to retain its veterans so they can make that leap?
It's not just veterans, it's the right veterans. Those three guys they did everything. They did everything. They might have been the only three guys at a camp back in 86. Retaining your veterans, retaining the right veterans, I think is kind of the thing. And we were very lucky, and a lot of those guys stuck it out. I do think, those guys who were there for those 5 or 6 years, but they're the reason. They're the reason why things changed as much as they did, because there was something to build upon.
What advice or comments would you have for the 2021 Crossmen and beyond? Continue
working hard. That's the most important thing, because then you're going to try to create a product that you're proud of. It's up to the staff. Trust the staff to kind of create a product that's going to be successful. But no product is successful without the members getting it done. So I would say trust the staff. Trust the staff. Do what the staff tells you to do, and work hard. Make us proud, make us happy, make us entertained. There's a lot of years, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of success, there's a lot of heartache. When you put that uniform on, it means something to a lot more people than just yourself. And I think that's probably maybe a really, really important life lesson. Wear that uniform. Others have been there first. What are you going to do to make it special? How hard can you work as a team to produce something that's never been produced, never been done before? That's what you do.
Thank you. Everybody watching at home, thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Kevin,
how was it like doing more character work for 1994 as opposed to what you all did visually in 1992?
Well, it's funny you ask because in 1992 there was no character work. It just wasn't a part of the program. We weren't told to take on any type of characters. It wasn't even a part of the discussion. So in terms of 92 to 94, it went from being non-existent to this is what our entire show is going to be about, which was fantastically portrayed by the color guard. And we were going to take on the character development that they were leading the way with. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic. The show was entitled Sweet Children. It was the third segment in the trilogy, and we were to be like children. Very simply put, the color guard was dressed up like children, and it was absolutely genius costumes. Our drum majors were dressed up like parents, and they wanted us to take on the essence of a child. From playing the children games like hopscotch and red light, green light, and we were pantomiming. If you watch the video, you see people skipping. You see members doing leapfrog, and this was over the course of the entire show, and it was very innovative for its time. To take on that type of character development. We wanted the crowd to know that we were having fun, and we were having fun portraying those characters, and to send that childlike, innocent vibe to the audience. But at the same time, we wanted to be really good at it. So that there's a fine line between just having fun and having fun and doing it very well. Oh, how did the corps react? Oh, absolutely fun. I mean, they reacted just as you would think any Crossmen corps would react. I mean, everybody bought in. Well, I know at one point I can't remember the specifics, but I do quite remember when Kevin Ford made the entire drum corps go play in a playground so we can harness what it was like to be a kid again, going on the swings, being on the monkey bars. It was hard. I mean, it was hard work to be able to harness the essence of a child day in and day out.
There they are, ladies and gentlemen, on the field right now, live here at Butler Community College in El Dorado, Kansas, your 2021 Crossmen working through sets in their 2021 production. It's your move, and the whole reason we're here right now is it's to knock the microphone around. That's why we're here. It's our move. It's our move to back the bones right now. That's what we're all about. We're trying to raise, you know what, Jake, let me take a look here. What do we got? We're up to $43,570 on our way to a goal of $60,000, but we've only got about an hour left to do this. Actually less than that, because I'd like to hit that $60,000 number before we see Bones perform a significant chunk. I think the entire opener of their show we're going to see here coming up at around 5:30. We've got an explanation a little bit more about the show coming up. Conrad Eisenhower, the visual caption head, will be talking to us about that before we see it. And again, that brand new arrangement of Russian Christmas music we're going to hear as well. If that doesn't inspire you to give, I don't know what will. Honestly, when we were watching that last video segment here at Butler, we're all enthralled with the rehearsal that's going on the field. And every part of me right now, after the last year and a half that we've been through, every part of my being right now wants to say to you, hey, text Bones to 41444. I'm going to go watch rehearsal. That's what I really want to do, because y'all, there's drum corps happening out there right now, and it's Crossmen, and they're on the field. Text Bones to 41444 right now and support what's going on that field currently. You want to meet another member of Crossmen 2021? How about one of their drum majors? Jake English is part of Team Hands for Bones this year. Come on in here, Jake.
Hey, Dan.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
How is it going here at Butler? What's this year been like?
It's been very exciting. You know, Crossmen are finally back out here, and we're putting on a show. The facilities here are great, and the members have been very positive with everything that's going on.
Has rehearsal been different knowing that you're not rehearsing for a competitive performance?
It has been different, but I think it's been different in a good way because we're doing this for ourselves. You know, we're out here performing to make the best out of this show, to make the best out of ourselves and our performance, and to put on a performance for everyone. It's not about the scores or any of the placements. It's just about the Crossmen and being here and being ourselves.
You could have sat out this year, but you didn't. Why? What motivated you to be here?
Well, it was the mission, you know. Like I felt called to be out here. With the off season of 2020, it was pushing to get into 2021. I wanted to be there and to make Crossmen be the Crossmen again. So I felt called to come out and just do my best and help build the culture here and push DCI into the future.
We've seen a lot in the video that we've watched so far in this show about Crossmen surviving so many challenges over the decades. As a member, as a drum major, do you feel that legacy of survival?
Yes, I do feel that legacy. We are surviving right now, but we're not only surviving, we're thriving.
Yeah.
It's going great this year.
You mentioned the facilities are great here at Butler. Staying in apartments. You got,
Oh, yeah.
You got pretty much everything you need for a really good camp, don't you?
Yes, sir.
What's been the biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise about the facility?
Yeah.
Well, it's been really nice to have a personal shower. It's great to be able to relax in your own room.
Come on now, the group shower, that's a drum corps thing. Come on, you got to have cold showers in the morning or it's not drum corps, Jake.
Oh, yeah. But it's been great. It's been a wonderful experience here. And the amazing stadium that we're here at Butler, it's excellent performance atmosphere.
Tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Jeffersonville, Indiana. I went to Jeffersonville High School, and I now attend Indiana University Bloomington, where I study accounting.
Accounting, not a music major.
No, not a music major. But I love music, and it's my hobby, and it's a passion of mine. So I'm coming out here and doing drum corps.
You know, I do a radio show back home in Tulsa, and every time I turn the mic on, my brain is roughly in the same place it was on starting line during a drum corps show. When you're a CPA or wherever your accounting degree takes you, what do you think it is about this Crossmen experience that's going to translate for you and is going to be something you use every day?
That's a great question, Dan. I think going into my professional career in the future, Crossmen has helped me build leadership skills and has helped me build personal communication skills that are going to go over into that. Specifically, here at Crossmen, I've done a lot and have been taught a lot about building culture. And I think in the professional world, we still need that. We need leaders, we need good leaders, and we need to make the world a better place. And I feel like I can do that even as an accountant, wherever that may be.
What is the culture of Crossmen? Survival, we know.
Oh, yeah.
But what else should we know about the culture of this corps?
The culture here is one of positivity and being united, you know. We always stay united. Earlier today,
the roots of this corps are unity, right?
Yes, they are.
Two corps coming together.
If you were here watching the rehearsal earlier, as we came out to full ensemble, every single member had a pair. They always walk in pairs, walk in twos. And that's tradition, and we do it because we care about each other and we want to bring each other up. We want to push each other to be the best that we can be.
Going to get to see Spirit of Atlanta this year?
I hope so.
We should explain, for those who don't know, there is a very, very close relationship between Crossmen and Spirit of Atlanta. It's pretty special, isn't it?
Yes, it's very special. I would love for the Crossmen and Spirit of Atlanta to be together this year in some form or way.
Yeah.
That would be very exciting.
What else are you excited about this year as drum major?
As the drum major, I'm very excited about the new arrangement of Russian Christmas music.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very good.
Tease us a little bit.
Okay.
What should we be looking for and listening for?
Yes. So the old Russian Christmas music arrangement is inside the new arrangement.
Okay.
It's in there, but there was a new section added at the beginning, and there were some tempo change differences. But the beginning is sort of teasing the end. It's all foreshadowing the rest of the music, and it's just a wonderful performance. And you all are going to see that later. It's going to be amazing.
I can't imagine being drum major of Santa Clara and conducting Send in the Clowns. I can't imagine being drum major of Cavaliers and conducting Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I can't imagine being drum major of Crossmen and getting to conduct Russian Christmas music. What is that like?
It's a wonderful experience. It's the one moment where we're performing something that is our own and it's for the corps. So it gives me chills.
Yeah, I can tell.
It gives me
It's affecting
chills.
you
Yeah.
right now, isn't it?
Yes.
Jake English, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Dan.
Jake English, drum major of the 2021 Crossmen. I'm giving you the same opportunity I'm giving everybody else. Tell them why they should give to Bones.
You should give to Bones so that we can give you an excellent performance and that you will see us every year from now on.
Look on the screen right now. You'll find the raffle winners. Those raffle winners will be notified. If they're not watching right now, they will be notified. What did you say, Doug? Just tell me.
They'll be notified by the Corps in the next few days.
Okay, notified by the Corps in the next few days. Congratulations to all of our raffle winners. Thank you for buying a chance in the raffle. Once again, Jake, thank you so much. Listen to this kid. All right? Text Bones to 41444, kid. I'm sorry, dude. You're more adult than me in a lot of ways. Thanks, Jake. Jake English, the drum major of this year's Corps. All right, I got to look. Where are we going?
I was in the horn line from 1998 to 2002, all 5 of those years consecutively. I came in 1998 playing the euphonium. The big change was 2000 when Jeff Britches became the corps director and brought in people that he had previously worked with. And he brought in Dean Musson, who had previously been the brass caption head at the Colts. And Dean really believed in a very holistic approach towards brass playing and really just kind of starting with foundational things because he knew, having taught at the sort of tier level of drum corps, the just barely in finals level of drum corps for years, he had a lot of experience dealing with people who were not brass players, learning to play brass instruments in drum corps. And so in many ways, he would begin at the beginning, especially as it related to breathing. And I was already a brass player, but I did not have that high a level of instruction. So I was quite lucky to have that back to basics approach that I had not gotten in high school. Dean's approach was so educational, and I took so much of that, frankly, back to college and applied it to my trombone studies, things that I think I actually did not hear and that were valuable, that I did not hear from my private instructors in college. So I feel very grateful to have had really the expert instruction of so many instructors. I had my first 3 years, I had a Dynasty euphonium that was new in 1997 or 1996. So that was by drum corps standards. That's brand new, at least at that time. And then in 2000, the cadets were the first, along with the Blue Devils, that year to transition to B-flat instruments and F mellophones. And so we inherited some of the cadets' cast-offs, the best ones. Dean went through, selected all the finest stuff that he could, and discarded the rest, or they sold it, I'm not really sure. And so I ended up with, I don't know what the model was, but Ken still had sort of 3 models of baritone euphonium in G. When we went to the B-flat instruments in 2000, it was an opportunity to have brand new instruments right out of the case, which I think these days for many top 12 drum corps is much more of a normal thing. But at that time, it was extraordinary. It was a little perhaps strange. The Yamaha had not developed a marching euphonium at that time. So if you look at the 2002 Crossmen show, everyone is playing a baritone, even if they're playing third baritone parts on large mouthpieces. It's still just baritones, but the quality of what we were playing on was just head and shoulders above. Non-existent, I would say, is what character work was. At that time period, we were still wearing hats down low over our eyes. The idea was to be as uniform as possible. I mean, we were wearing uniforms. That's the point. The idea was to not stand out. However, I was seat partners with Drew Ross in 2000 and 2001. Many people will remember him as the soprano soloist for the Crossmen in 99, 2000, and 2001. And he would tell me sometimes about conversations that he would have with Al Ches, longtime Crossmen brass staff member, about that characterization as a soloist. So it wasn't totally lost on me, but I was not prepared for, I think, 2002, when Trish Gooley, the color guard caption head, added some choreography for the horn line, and I felt very unready to do anything like that. And even frankly, going up to finals, I did not feel like the movement was comfortable. It was just, I felt sort of robotic. And I think it was just because the approach to movement was so focused on marching that we could not process movement through any other lens. That they're moving in ways that I was never taught. And frankly, I'm a little jealous. I wish I had learned, because now I'm 40 years old, and I'm trying out yoga and things like that, and I'm realizing, like, oh, some of these yoga poses that I'm doing in this yoga class were things that I was taught in drum corps during stretch and run. They just weren't calling it yoga.
Do you remember the dance that we did at the end of Flying Home?
Yes.
Do you remember the groaning?
I never felt comfortable with that one either, even at finals.
We groaned so much, and it took us an hour to learn 6 seconds of stupid leg work.
Yeah, to be fair, like, we would not have been a receptive audience. We were not a receptive audience. But it wasn't valued at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't valued for brass players to be doing choreography. We were, the people trying to get us to do it were seeing what was coming and seeing what was ahead, and we were resistant, and to our detriment, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with 1998, because of how much we did, at least for the brass, how much we did with so little. We had a contrabass player who was a multi-year drum corps veteran but could not read music. We had many brass players who had never played a brass instrument. I, just being a trombone player who was thinking buttons in relation to trombone slide positions, I was one of the best talents they had in the horn line. And that's a bit, frankly, ridiculous by today's top 12 standards. We had somewhere my father has VHS videotape of perhaps a January, February camp, and it's a Friday night, and I think we had 12 brass players. It might have even been a Saturday. It was pretty bad. Like, we did so much with so little, and we're just, I don't know where the staff would find people, but they would find people. We'd pick people up on, the side of the road, pick them up at the local show, convince a high schooler to get on the bus. And we still managed to get 7th place. 2000 had the impact. 2001 had the results. That was when we saw the results, because there was a mutual respect in 2001. And frankly, I actually credit Brian Smith, who was the center snare percussion section leader from 99 through 2002. I really credit him with a lot of that feeling of unity among the sections. We did not feel it in 1998. We did not feel it in 1999, but we did. No, we didn't even, I don't think, felt it in 2000 too much. But in 2001, I think, is when Brian started to really hit his stride, as like it was his 3rd year as the percussion section leader. He was highly respected among the drum corps. And I think, and I've had conversations with him about this, I know this to be true, he decided that he wanted to have a group dynamic and that he felt that he had the power to create that group dynamic, and he was successful. And everyone, we said at BCE in 2001, best Crossman ever, and we didn't mean it to the detriment of any other Crossman. It was a thing to get us hyped about, and it was largely because Brian spearheaded a movement for intermingling and friendship between. I talked to more drumline and color guard people starting in 2001 than I think I had ever. In that one season, I made friendships with color guard and drumline people. I was a fourth year vet and I didn't have friendships with people that I marched with for 4 years because of that disconnection and Brian's changing of that group dynamic.
Hello, my name is Aaron Goldberg, and I was with the Crossmen from 1998 to 2010 with the absence of 1999. I was a baritone player in the horn line, I was a section leader and a soloist in 2000 and 2001. I was on brass staff as the baritone tech from 2002 through 2007, including the move to Texas, and I was brass caption head 2008, 9, and 10. I'm also a recently inducted Crossmen Hall of Fame member, class of 2019. Quite an honor. During my time with the Crossmen, we switched from G bugles to B-flat instruments. So the last year that we played on G bugles was in 2001, which was my age-out year. 20 years ago this summer, whoa. And the first year we played on B-flat horns was my first year on brass staff, the summer of 2002. And, I guess the positive was that students were playing on the same equipment all year. Whatever high school or college band program you came from, you'd come to drum corps, you'd be playing the same instrument, which is a positive. In the bugle days, we would never sound good at camps until people got used to the bugles, say by like Sunday, and then you got to go home. And if you were lucky, you could bring your bugle with you and kind of get used to it, the way the notes centered and the tuning issues and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, what we all missed was the fact that, bugles, they were louder. They had a specific sizzle to them. The sound was more impactful when you were up in the stands. B-flat instruments, didn't exactly carry like that, but they tuned better. They certainly had a cleaner sound, and we got used to it. But of course, the joke, after 2002, our first year on B-flat instruments, was that even though we're on these beautiful new B-flat horns sponsored by Yamaha, we still played them like bugles. The move to Texas for the 07 season was huge, and for anyone who had been with the Corps on the East Coast, it was a shock. We knew that something might happen after 2006 when we had fallen out of finals for 2 years in a row, but we didn't think that we'd be moving to Texas. And though it was scary because of that kind of fear of the unknown, it was incredibly exciting because we knew that it was a chance to kind of start fresh. And my recollection of sort of the joining of forces, the East Coasters and the Texans, there were some moments that it was rough, to be honest with you. Different pedagogies, different terminology, different ways of doing things. But there were more moments of everybody projecting that we wanted it to be okay. We wanted the Corps to do well. We wanted to succeed. And after those first several camps leading into the 07 season, you could feel sort of a rhythm start to pick up. And, once 07 concluded, and obviously the Corps did not break back into finals, there was still this sense of like, okay, we're here now. We've got one under our belt. We can do this. And things, started to look up a little bit in 2008 and continue on. And what I remember most about just that transition is the fact that, there was this sort of defiant attitude about keeping the Crossmen, even though it's in a new location with new people and sort of a new way of doing things, the identity of the Corps lasted through the transition. And that to me, to this day, is just a very special thing. The years that were most impactful for me in the Crossmen were 1998, my rookie year, because of how hard we worked. And I went up to our brass caption head, Michael Klesch, years later, and I thanked him for the 1998 season. And I said, that work ethic that we had set my work ethic in this activity for the rest of my life. And he just chuckled and said, yeah, we picked a standard and we were relentless about sticking to it. And that has always stuck with me. Secondly would be my age-out year, 2001, BCE, best Crossman ever. That was our rally cry. That was our battle cry, best Crossman ever. We didn't look at other scores. We didn't compare ourselves to anybody. We just put our heads down and worked hard. And, sure enough, we were beating a lot of people in 2001. Both those corps were 7th place corps. yours. And then finally, 2008. It was the second year the Corps was in Texas. It was my first year as brass caption head, and there was such a great horn line. The charisma, the attitude, the work ethic. We had so much fun, and I got to tell you, it was really driven by the guy at the top, our horn sergeant, Mark Figueroa. He just set the tone. He pushed us, the brass staff. We pushed the horn line, and I'll tell you, those members had so much fun, they didn't realize how hard they were getting their asses kicked. When I got the call from Josh Sears to say a couple words for this great event, he reminded me of an email that I sent to the horn line after the 2010 season. Basically, after 2010, house was cleaned, all new staff and designers were coming in for the next year, and I forgot about this. I think maybe after 12 years with the Crossmen, I was going to be focused on, having a summer on the beach for the first time ever. But Josh reminded me that I sent something to the horn line saying to come back, because there's some really good drum corps heads that are coming in, and the Corps is going to be in good hands, and that you should come back to honor the drum corps and to finish what you started. And I'll tell you, that's an attitude that I always had. Just be there to help to make your Corps do better, and it's something that I'm still, very, very happy to see, is that there were some great students in the horn line that came back and they got to taste that finalist drum corps in 2012 and onward. And, as just an alumnus and as, of course, a big, big fan, the Crossmen will always occupy a huge space in my heart. It's really helped me be the person that I am, period. It's been wonderful to see the Corps ascend, and not just to survive, but to thrive, to be rooted in its new home, to have active alumni who now know nothing other than just the drum corps being in Texas, and to know that the Crossmen, through it all, have still retained their charisma and their personality and their energy and their traditions. And it's a great Corps, and for everyone who's able to come back next year, you do that. The Crossmen need you. Peace.
And we are back live in the press box at Butler Community College, BG Products Sports Complex, the Veteran Sports Complex. Here in El Dorado, Kansas, it's Crossmen Live. I'm Dan Potter. We're just moments away from going down to the field. And as you were watching that last video segment, we were listening to the Corps run through this new arrangement of Russian Christmas music, and it's pretty spectacular. So we've got portions of their show this year, It's Your Move, and that new arrangement of Russian Christmas music coming up for you live from the field here in El Dorado in just a moment. But in the meantime, the whole reason we're here is to raise money for the Crossmen. And let me take a look here. We're making great progress, but I'm kind of scared because it's conceivable we don't hit 60,000 by the time we go off the web here, coming up in about half hour or so. So if you've been waiting until the last minute, if you're a drama queen and decided that you're going to wait until the last 15 minutes to make your call, make your donation, well, congratulations, you made it. Now, make your donation. Text BONES to 41444, and you'll get a link back to make that donation. Make it a big, substantial one so we can keep the Crossmen alive. We've been talking about brass for the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. I'd like to introduce you to the 2021 Horn Sergeant for the Crossmen, Nate Catabaloo. Hi, Nate.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm so good.
I am so glad to have you here. You are so good because we're doing drum corps in person, in the flesh.
Yeah.
And I know it's a different year, but as we've been hearing from your colleagues, it has its own kind of specialness to it and its own significance. What has it meant for you?
It's just been, we took 2020 off, and for me, it's just been like, let's just have fun with it. The staff is great, the facilities are great, the show's really cool, and we've just been working every single day, and we get better every single day. I think that's really cool.
As a lot of drum corps fans know, the members who were to age out in 2020 have been given the opportunity to come back and take part in this DCI celebration tour and be part of this season. And in some cases, age out is at age 22 when the performer's birthday falls after a specific date. you're kind of in that frame because how old are you?
I am 22 and I will turn 23 on the 27th of July.
So by the time we're in Indianapolis, you will be 23 years old performing in a junior drum and bugle corps. And we were having it, come closer here because I want people to be able to hear this. We were having an interesting discussion over some Frito pie at lunch.
Yes, we were.
About your age and how it feels at 23 to be rehearsing with the Crossmen. Tell me what you told me.
Yeah, so you know what? I mean, my first year was a little rough, and then that second year I got the swing of things, and you know what? Every single day, and I wake up really tired, and then by the end of it, I feel every bit of 22. But I'm just so glad to still be doing this and having this opportunity.
It's your last little bit of childhood.
Yep,
Huh?
last little bit of childhood, then I got to move on. So I'm so glad to be spending it with the Crossmen.
Before you move on,
yes,
Crossmen have a tradition. The horn sergeant carries out the Bones flag out onto the field. And as horn sergeant in 2021, I'd like to introduce you to the guy who I think was the original horn sergeant for the Crossmen, Doug Stemmett. Doug, come on in here. Tell us about this tradition.
Well, this tradition started because we've had such great leaders in the program, through the brass program, through the years, and it was a way to kind of give them a symbol to carry forward as they lead the corps. And Nate, I am honored to be able to present this to you. And you lead the corps onto the field, you lead the brass line with your great leadership skills. But just remember that when you lead the corps on the field and you carry this, you're really leading all of us. You're leading the legacy that precedes you through the years. And we are so proud at this time to be able to have you take the mantle, so to speak, and take the flag and carry it for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Yeah, okay. It is an honor. Tell me more about that honor. You're horn sergeant of the Crossmen. That's so cool.
I love this horn line. It's so much fun. You know, I answer a lot of questions every single day, but I get to know so many people, and I think that's really cool. In years previous, you know, there may have been some sections of people that may have slipped by, but since I'm in this new role, it's important that I know every single person. So I feel like I know this horn line more than any other horn line, and we didn't even really do camp season. So I think that's really cool.
I can't wait to see you carrying that into Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Nate, been a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Nate Catabalou, Horn Sergeant of the 2021 Crossmen, with the banner he's going to carry out onto the field. Support Bones right now. Text Bones to 41444. I didn't give you the chance to. Everybody else has gotten the chance to make their pitch. Why should people give to Crossmen?
Oh, because Crossmen is a phenomenal organization, and they focus on the experience of the members, and I think that is important.
One of the ways Crossmen survived through the years was by not being afraid to change locales. The Corps, of course, moved to Texas, and that's one of the ways they have survived in recent times. Let's take a closer look at those years as you continue to give by texting Bones to 41444 on Crossmen Live.
Hi, I'm Aaron Goldberg, and I have Garrett Dillon here. Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Hey, I'm Garrett Dillon. I am from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I marched in the Crossmen in 2003. I took the summer of 04 off, and then I marched 2005, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I came in on the East Coast, marched all the way through the transition to Texas, and then aged out in 2009 in Texas. I was a baritone player for 5 out of 6 of those years. I was an assistant drum major in 2007. Went back to playing the horn in 2008 and was the horn sergeant in 2009.
All right. In the fall of 2006, we got news that the Corps was moving to Texas, and that was something that I think shocked everybody. We did not even have that on our radar. How did that feel from a member's perspective at the time, and why did you decide to go?
The move to Texas was it was scary in that we didn't know what to expect. You know, this was new territory. We didn't know how things were going to be managed. We didn't know what a summer under a Texas group would look like. But it was also exciting, and it was, it had promise, it had potential for the Crossmen to really just forge their own way into the drum corps world. We're no longer underneath this umbrella of YEA and the cadets and these people running the show. We could forge our own kind of identity and our own opportunity in Texas. So that was exciting. Why I went to Texas with the Crossmen, at the time, I didn't really feel like I had any other choice. You know, it's like, if the Crossman's on the East Coast, I'm gonna march on the East Coast. If the Crossman is in Texas, well, I guess I'm going to Texas, because I was just so bound by the kind of a sense of duty to just kind of keep the core going and keep the core alive. And that transition being so unknown and so much being up in the air, I just felt really bound by a sense of duty in the tradition of the drum corps to be a part of that move and carry that tradition with me and help forge that identity in Texas.
Garrett, tell us, what did the first days in Texas feel like?
There was a lot of excitement, a lot of unknown, brand new corps. People had never, the people running the show had never run a drum corps before, really. And so a lot of stuff, a lot of bugs to work out, a lot of things to work through. But, we had a really strong bond early on. And I think that really served us well as we made that transition.
Do you have any specific stories or memories, about the transition, the move, leaving YA, that type of thing?
But I remember very specifically one day, it was the day, separation day, that Crossman was official. We were officially our own thing. And we were all on the bus. It was late at night. I guess they must have signed the papers or whatever after the show that night. And it was just a rowdy, raucous celebration on the bus. And we're all just like, yeah, we're finally our own thing. We finally this is it. It's official. Let's go.
So after the move to Texas in the 2007 season and, kind of cutting the cord from YEA, why did you keep coming back?
I kept coming back for the people, really strong relationships and friendships that we had together. And, we're all going through it together, and that made the relationships even stronger. So I kept coming back for the people. I had just some of the best friends that I'm still close with to this day. So I kept coming back for them, but I kept coming back for the drum corps. We made it through 2007, but we had to keep going. 2007 wasn't really a successful year. In 2008, we wanted to do better. We wanted to come back stronger, and we wanted to keep it going. I mean, the whole history of the drum corps is forged in persevering when maybe the odds dictated that you shouldn't. So 2009, it was kind of like, or 2007, it was kind of a rough year, not super successful competitively, but I had these really great friends, and we wanted to do better. We wanted to come back and make 2008 better than 2007 and just keep building that foundation for the drum corps. So that's why I kept coming back. I just wanted to see the corps do well. I wanted to be part of that foundation to set it up for success. And I wanted to do it with my really good friends.
Well, Garrett, it's been great talking with you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or anything that you'd like to say to current Crossmen?
But just get out there, work hard, kick some ass, and just know that you have generations of Crossmen alumni that are rooting for you.
That's awesome. Well, Garrett, Dylan, it's been a pleasure talking with you. And even more so, it's been a pleasure reconnecting with you. We shared some great times in the Crossmen Horn Line.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Stevenson. I marched 2011 through 2015 and on baritone and euphonium. Those are the records.
And I'm Josh Sears. I marched baritone 2007 through 2012.
I'm Mason Hines. I marched Contra 2015 to 2018.
I am Sophie Solomonson, now Sophie Hines. I marched in 2019, playing mellophone.
I'm Ryan Pearson. I played baritone, and I marched from 2011 to 2016.
I think the biggest thing, and we have Josh here to kind of accommodate that, is we got more into the prop years of spending more money that way and more general effect focus, more dance, more themes, more body, more uniform changes. So at least in my years,
as far as what the show was about, it started shifting to an actual production instead of marching and playing.
Yeah, you kind of see the roots of that starting with the 2009 show. So my rookie year, 2007, it was basically just 100% drill and music and not much else. But then 2009 was the first year we really started to do character. And some extra choreography and body movement. Like we spent one whole visual block on just the pre-show, the first 40 or so counts of the show, and how we entered the field basically. And that was the first time we really did anything that in depth. And then it kind of slowly went from there year over year.
That you guys were working on pre-show in 2009. That was like, you started doing that. We really focused on production in 2019. And I definitely noticed in 18, there wasn't as much production. And then 19, it was a whole transformation. And those props were a huge thing. I mean, we had all of the girls on color guard, like 5 of them on each prop at the beginning. And we'd have to push them all in. And we'd go 20 sets in. And we were exhausted. And then they're like, all right, let's do it again, run it back. And so we'd have to pull all those things back with all the girls on it. So it definitely got us into shape, especially right at the beginning of the season, just took off with it.
That just shows also how much over the decade the props changed and became bigger and more involved in the show as well. Because like in 2012, we had those 36 silhouettes, but we used them maybe a dozen times total over the course of the season in rehearsal. Most of the time we just put water bottles in place of where the props were supposed to be because that's all we needed to do.
And then in random shows, your whole tuba line falls over because they're not used to rehearsing with.
I think where we started, we didn't really have time to get into the not really the details, but just the more performance aspect. We're just trying to like get through a show without having to call an ambulance. I think that was at least in 2011. And then when we got better and better, like I said, coming back and volunteering after the next few years, after 2015, that's when I noticed like, oh, that's a lot of notes.
Well, for me, it was really weird because coming in with 2015, that was the same staff as 14, correct?
Yeah.
And then when Steve and that brass stuff got there in 16, they like completely dressed down everyone. They were like, hey, you're not good at playing. We're going to make you good at playing. And they set very clear goals. They were like, all right, this year we're going to learn how to play loud. And the next year was like, all right, we did loud. Now we're going to do loud and sound good. And like each year they just added more and more until like 18 and 19. That's when we started seeing insane technique sections for high and low brass and things like that. And that was the biggest difference I noticed, was that our brass book got exponentially harder and more in detail every year.
Because for me, 2010 was pretty clearly by far my least favorite of the years I marched. But it's also, I think, the year that I learned the most about being a leader, being a teacher, and just being able to persevere through the challenges and hardships that we did, in fact, have to face that season, and just being on the brink of falling out of semifinals. Like, there was a lot of hardship that we went through that season. But at the end of the day, those who really stuck it out, it did make us a lot stronger as people in general.
I think to me, it always comes down to, the crowd definitely helps. If you're performing in a library, that's not going to sound very fun. But if it really does come down to the people around you too, like judges are ones. I've marched great years, I've marched okay years, and I've marched not so great years. So it always comes down to like what kind of friends you make for sure. That part will always be the same through all the, however much the activity changes. I think that's what you can get away with it.
And we are back live here in the press box at Butler Community College, El Dorado, Kansas, BG Products Veteran Sports Complex. Dan Potter, as we are in the final minutes now of the 2021 Crossmen Live fundraiser, text BONES to 41444. We've seen a lot of amazing history of the Crossmen in the last hour and a half or so, but in just a moment we're going to get as fresh and as up-to-date as we possibly can, because we're going to see the Corps kind of chunk through the opener as it's on the field of their 2021 production, It's Your Move. That's coming up shortly. And then we'll come back up to the press box one more time. I'll make one more big plea for your donations. And after that, back down to the field, the Corps will be arced up, and we will listen together to this new amazing arrangement of Alfred Reed's Russian Christmas music. Doug Stemmett and I were talking while we were off the air there for a moment about how odd it is that Russian Christmas music became the anthem of Crossmen. You know, it is, when you stop and think about it, it's like, how did that, but it's stuck. And it is such a powerful statement about Crossmen anymore. I cannot wait to hear this new arrangement. In the meantime, let's find out about the 2021 production, It's Your Move. Conrad Eisenhower is the visual caption manager for the Crossmen. Conrad, welcome.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
First year teaching Crossmen?
It is not my first year teaching Crossmen. I was on the brass staff in 2015.
Okay.
But this is my first year in this role and back with the home team. So.
What's your drum corps history prior to that?
I marched the Crossmen in 2008, and I marched the Santa Clara Vanguard in 2011. And after that, I've been teaching around in a few different teams, and I'm happy to be back home at the Crossmen.
Teach the high school scene too?
I do, yeah. I teach at Claudia Taylor Johnson in San Antonio.
CTJ.
That's right, yeah.
Great
and
program.
Recently
Shout out to
Austin.
Jarrett Lippman.
That's right. How's it going, Jarrett?
Former Crossman drum major. Make your donation, Jarrett Lippman. Come on, drum major. We know you got deep pockets, band director at CTJ. Tell us about the show, It's Your Move, based on chess, right?
Yeah, based on chess. So the first movement is Minuano, and it kind of represents the beginning of the chess game, the energy that entails, and where the chess game is going. We don't know where it's going to go quite yet, but we do know it's exciting and kind of on edge, ready to get to it, to the battle afoot.
What other charts are we going to hear?
So the ballad is Hosier, and it's called Movement, and it's a really great, modern, fresh piece. It's probably my favorite movement of the show, and it's just a jam. It's fun to listen to. Yeah. And then the third movement is Coronation, and that's kind of the end game where it's a little bit more powerful, and we're ready to bring it home and see who takes the queen.
Well, speaking of the Queen, and I don't know how much about the design process you've been privy to or what you can tell me, but during the pandemic, a lot of people were binging on the Queen's Gambit, and Martha and I were among those, loving that show.
Me included. Yeah.
Inspiration from that in this show?
I'm sure. I think so. I know I've heard that thrown around a little bit here and there. I think especially just as I was actually talking to one of the visual staff members, and they said, all my students love to play chess now after the Queen's Gambit. So I'm sure that had permeated the Crossmen designers' minds as well. But the students are definitely into it. So, yeah.
When you're out there putting them through their reps in this version of spring training, summer training, whatever you want to call it, is it different from an instructional point of view? We've heard from the performers, they say, well, no, we're pushing ourselves just as hard. We're trying to be better every day. So in that regard, it's the same. But what about from the instructor's point of view?
Yeah, I think the only difference would be that we're trying to put new material on and also clean other material as we're putting new material on. So in that way, it's new drill this day, cleaning this part of the drill this day, because we know we have a little bit shorter timeline. So those steps, I think, are kind of overlapping more than they might. But I like it because it kind of mixes it up and it makes the day fresh and every day a little bit new, and you have to stay on your toes a little bit. And I think that's good for the members to experience.
You know, we've had discussions about, we're learning new ways to run a drum corps. Are we learning new ways to teach a drum corps this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think especially just from not all of the students had an opportunity to march on a field in the past year and a half. So I think for some of them, this is, we're really kind of getting our sea legs back. And with the virtual programs that we had in the winter, that was really helpful. But there's nothing like actually being out there and learning and being in the same physical space with each other. And it's been really fun just to get back to do that.
It's kind of a contradiction, this corps, because yeah, there's a lot of people learning drum corps for the first time and learning fundamentals. There's a lot of rookies out there, but the average age is pretty high too, so they're very quick learners.
Yes, they are. They are. And again, I feel like it's like as soon as we give information, they're internalizing and they're elevating at a pretty rapid rate, which is really exciting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens over the next few short weeks. Conrad, thanks so much.
Thanks, Dan.
Conrad, you know what? Do you want to make a pitch to people too? We've had the members say, why should you give to Bones? You want to do that?
Yeah, come on. Text Bones to 41444. Help these members out. Help the organization that we all love out. Yeah, it was my home when I marched, and it's my home now. And yeah, give what you can.
It's formed him. It's formed a lot of you. If it has had an effect on your life, this is the time to give right now. And look, we are within striking distance, $58,196. In the next couple of minutes, as you're watching the Corps chunk through the opener here and then play Russian Christmas music, you be the one to put us over 60,000. Do it right now. Text Bones to 41444. Conrad, you want to go to the field? You got to go.
That's true. We do.
Go run your ensemble.
Thank you. Thanks,
we'll
Dan.
see you later. Conrad Eisenhower, visual caption manager. All right, he's going down the hall into his perch here with the rest of the instructional staff. Let's take a look at what we can see so far of Crossmen's 2021 production. It's your move.
Top to D with the Met. Everybody's in. Ben, can you hear the Met? Reset. Metronome be louder. Can the metronome be louder? Can we crank up the metronome, please? Reset.
Brass. Remember, letter D starting at -2, yeah? Get that foot speed change.
At to K. Everybody's in with the Met.
Nope. Go to them.
Reset. Same thing, same way. Sit him down, get water.
To me, hello. I think they already did. I think they're taking a quick water break. They're going to come back and chunk just a little bit more. If not, they'll be going into Russian Christmas music after this. Either way, you're going to want to stick around. This is my last opportunity to make my direct appeal to you, to give to this amazing organization that has survived so much. It took two corps coming together all those decades ago to form Crossmen. And then all of the different challenges that this corps has faced throughout its history, the moves, the times when the corps came so close to folding but somehow survived. Fortunately, we're not at that point. we're at a point where we want to make Crossmen as healthy an organization as it can possibly be. That's what we're asking you to do as fans of this drum corps, as alumni of this drum corps, as parents of children who marched in this corps. One of my favorite things about drum corps is watching the reaction of parents when they see what the transformation is like for their kids in drum corps, and especially in this one.
Hey, so the next chunk we'll do will
Ladies
be
and
letter
gentlemen,
K to
text
the end,
Bones right
K1.
now to 41444
right
and
at the
enjoy
arrival of this
Alfred
set.
Reed's
Understood, yeah?
Russian
So
Christmas
take this
music.
entire
Oh,
whole.
nope, sorry. I'm being corrected. We've got another chunk of the show to watch.
We'll just wait
Stand
for
by.
the stream. Here we go, K to the end.
Reset. Same thing.
Stay with him.
Brass players, let's remember that new right foot step out to second position, yeah? And then let's check back in with our count 3 checkpoints and then go to level 3 responsibility and just guide through that, yeah?
For the last. For the last. Oh, hey, there we got something. Okay, I'm stoked to see the rest of this incredible production. Did you notice the music was the opener from '91? I'm digging this. I cannot wait to see what else Crossmen put on the field as we go on DCI's celebration tour, culminating in Indianapolis with the big celebration in mid-August. All right, in just a moment, this new arrangement of Alfred Reed's Russian Christmas music. My last chance to get you right now to text Bones to 41444 and support Crossmen. But I do have good news. We made our goal. Thank you to everybody who gave. We're at $62,408. We blew right past that $60,000 goal. Can I do this? I mean, I never marched, but I'm going to. Bones. Thank you so much. Russian Christmas music. God bless.
All right, music ensemble, full run of Russian Christmas music off of the hands, no metronome.
job, Cross.